The Invest in Her podcast is brought to you in part by Wells Fargo Bank. Hi, I'm Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation. I'm also the podcast host of Invest in Her and an award-winning producer, author, and TEDx speaker. Our show, Invest in Her, features phenomenal female founders and funders. As you know, women receive less than 2% of venture capital funding. Our series is about accelerating the funding of women by connecting them to funding resources. Let's meet today's guest. Welcome to this week's episode of Invest in Her. I'm your host, Catherine Gray, founder of She Angel Investors and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation. And today, as always, we have an incredible guest. Only this week, it's kind of a different topic. We're going to be talking about women in the C-suite. So if you're a CFO, a CEO, a CMO, anything with a C in front of it, basically, of your own company or at a large corporation, this show is for you. So we are so fortunate to have with us Dianne Gubin. She is a principal for Capital in Ventures, which connects investors to CEOs that are seeking 10 million to over 500 million in debt and equity financing. Hello. Wow. And also Beth Hilbing.
That's okay. No worries.
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Beth Hilbing, who is the senior program manager at Boeing. She helps reduce the costs and drive efficiency for government programs and new business contracts of $100 million and up. These are two powerhouse women, and we welcome them to the show. Welcome, Dianne and Beth.
Thank you, Catherine, for having us today.
Yeah, so good to have you all here. We had such a great conversation the other day, and I knew I had to have you fabulous women on Invest in Her because, I haven't talked a lot about, getting women on boards and having this fabulous directory of other women that are also in the C-suite that I think every woman who is a CEO, a CFO, a CMO of their own company or for a corporation needs to step into that community of helping each other. Like, I think we agree. It's all about women helping women, right?
Right. Sure. And that's exactly why Dianne and I started C-Suite. Now we're going on 8 years. It seems like yesterday. But Dianne and I have known each other for 20 plus years. Dianne has led many large women networking organizations. And I was actually in transition between two very large companies. And she said, Beth, there really isn't an organization that spans across all industries, middle market, Fortune 1000, emerging leaders, women in finance, and really create an organization where women hire each other, work together, educate each other, build community. And so we started C-Suite with 50 women, 3 sponsors, and we've now have over 25,000 plus in our database, hundreds of members, 8 chapters. And it's just, we do 75 plus programs a year.
Over 100.
I know, we keep adding. So we have our full-time gigs, plus this is full-time as well. And we sit on boards. And so I think everybody's in that boat, but it's just a joy.
And I love that you're the co-CEO of this organization, C-Suite, which I want to mention is spelled S-W-E-E-T. So C-Suite, which I think is great. It kind of gives it a feminine twist,
Right. It's actually C hyphen if you're looking it up, C hyphen S-W-E-E-T.
Right. Okay, great. So I think every woman CEO and CFO and women in the C-suite are looking for support, right? I think it can be, they often say that term, but it's so true, lonely at the top. So isn't it nice to be able to connect with other people in the C-suite, especially, I think, outside of your company, where you can truly have these conversations and lift each other up. And I also like that you have this, once you become a member, you have access to this amazing directory. Like, what could be better when you're at the top to have other comrades in that space, but at different companies, so you can kind of collaborate or help each other with problem solving or connections and contacts. I think that's invaluable. I think it's ingenious what you guys have created.
Thank you. Thank you. We're really about building community. And part of our core mission is women working together at the most executive levels. So yes, we pull each other up, but it's really more about us giving each other the business concertedly, right? So in many ways, there's so many, we could go down rabbit holes with issues, but we're building our own community and our own ladders, right? So part of that ladder is if we give you the business and you give it to other women, then we're stronger professionally, our families are stronger, our communities are stronger. And, in a very Pollyanna-ish way, we would like to solve some of the issues of the world just by women being there for each other.
And, this is what men have obviously been doing for years. They call it obviously the old boys network, right? The old boys network. But I always say, who wants to belong to the old girls network? Not us. So I always put a B in front of it and call it the bold girls network. But I think that's what you're creating, the bold girls network, right? Because we need that same type of collaboration that men have been doing for decades. Women need to understand that philosophy and how powerful it is. So like you said, when you need something in your business, why not tap another woman in that business for the services and products that you need, right?
Right. And you need to have that network and sense of community, because what Dianne and I have seen is that when women go into transition, a lot of times instead of keeping their networks, keeping groups like C-suite, they'll pull back and pull out of it to focus on trying to find a position where really they should be leaning into it, leaning into their networks and community, and joining more to broaden, because that's what men do, right? They have these huge networks and they go golfing and they go out and they recruit and reach out. And that's what women need to do. And so that's what the power of all that is. So.
Right.
100%.
Yes. And we already know at the executive level, especially in finance and tech, very often our women tell us that they are the only woman in the room. I mean, I'm sure you've been in that situation. Beth and I have both been in that situation where it's, all the guys and you, right?
Right. Right.
And the stronger and more expert you are, and the more resources and community you have in back of you, then the more we bring to the table.
So we try to, with our programming, really, as we do in our in-person events, we try to make sure that they're educational, they're fun, and that we make sure that the right women are there, so around the topics and so forth, so they're powerful. And then we also make sure that we have fun events and we have educational events, and that we showcase the women in the community at the events as the speakers and the panelists and so forth, so that you're getting that broad reach as well across social media and all those avenues. So
right, for sure. And we do amazing programming. You want to know about some of the programming we do?
Absolutely. I was going to say, so if somebody becomes a member, they have access to the directory, they have access to your live events, which are in many cities. I know you have 8 chapters. What cities are those in?
New York. Oh, go ahead, Dianne.
Oh, yeah. So go around the clock. So Los Angeles, then we went to Chicago, then New York, then Washington, D.C. We launched Charlotte last night, which was a huge success. And then coming back to the West Coast, we just launched Las Vegas. We're going into San Francisco at the end of February.
And Orange County.
I know.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So anybody listening in those areas can actually attend the live events, but I imagine anybody can join anywhere in the country.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
right.
For sure. Most programming is virtual.
Yeah, and they have access to executive coaches. We do Women on Board series. We do a monthly national speaker series. We do a business roundtable for our members. We do workshops in HR, finance, transition, women in transition.
Wait, I think I have the honor of speaking on one of those.
You're speaking on the national speaker series in March.
And then also
so lots of programming.
Yeah, amazing programming. And one of them I want to specifically call out, because I think it's one that's top of your list that you want people to know about, that we've talked about, which is getting women on boards. What is that program? Why is it so important? And, why do you recommend that to women?
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Beth and I have been out there really speaking about this. And so many women at the executive level say, I never even thought that I could be on a corporate board. I mean, like the concept of it. And what Beth and I have found out along the way is for the Women on Boards program, you actually have to start as early in your career as you possibly can to think about being on a corporate board so you can prep for it. You know, it's not just the bio and the resume and all that stuff. It's having the experience that they are looking for on a corporate board. So if anybody is potentially interested in getting any kind of P&L experience in finance, just puts you way ahead. But it could be any business unit that is needed on a corporate board. And a lot of these board positions now, they're paid corporate board positions is what we're looking at, not the nonprofits, although some of those pay too. You know, as women, we tend to have gone to the nonprofits, which is wonderful. But as Michelle Ashby, who runs the Women on Boards program that we partner with, she says, let's let all the men do the nonprofits and we'll go do the paid board positions.
Right. Women are always wanting to give up their time for free and get behind charities, write checks to charities, but we actually need them writing checks to for-profit women in business because that can make such an impact. So, you know, they can make a profit and make an impact at the same time. It's not exclusive to just donations, right? And that's, I know, something I talk about all the time because I think it's an important shift that women need to make. But back to being on boards, what is the value of being on a board? Besides the fact that you could get paid for it, which would be definitely a plus. I know some people make quite a good living being on a lot of boards. But what would be the reason? Because I know these women don't have a lot of bandwidth, right? If you're a CEO, you're a CFO, and now they're talking about, hey, take our course to be on a board. What would be the benefit of that? I'm sure there's so many. Let's talk about what they are.
Well, for me, you know, as I was thinking about, I'm on a nonprofit board and I've been on multiple nonprofit boards, and now I'm looking on the for-profit board because I want to help shape the company. I want to be on with a company that I find value and have a tie to, but help shape the company for the future and for the good of and I know that sounds kind of Pollyanna, but it is true because for the next generation that we leave behind and to make a better place for our next generation. And, you know, you should find a board that you feel passionate about and you like the product and you like the vision and the mission and so forth. And some people like startup boards, right? And some people like more mature boards, and maybe you're into cooking or wine or cats or dogs or whatever, but you know, and that's where you should lean. Women do, some people do make an entire income. We have met women that are on 3 or 4 boards and that's their entire life, and which is fine. You know, that's a good way to earn a living. I don't know, Dianne, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think the whole thing about being on a corporate board is you are the power in the room and you are an influencer. And as Beth said, especially think about a company that maybe did animal testing. If you're on the board and you don't believe in animal testing, maybe you can help steer in a different direction, whatever it is. But being on the board, you're not operations. So you're not working in the business. You're really more strategic in overviewing it.
Right. But you do have the liability. You have to remember that you do have the liability of that corporation. You are steering that corporation. And if they're going through a merger, an acquisition, or if there's a crisis, you are pulled in for the weekends and after hours. You know, as we've spoken to the women, there's a lot of time. You have to read the board packages, which are hundreds of pages. So it is another gig, right? So it's at least another 20 hours a month or a minimum to be on a board as well. And then
really? I'm so glad you clarified that because I thought I had heard, you know, hey, you go to a quarterly meeting and you're on the board, you know, so it's not quite that simple.
There's all the other work, and to get ready for that quarterly meeting, there might be subcommittees that you're on too to bring redoing the committee back to the board.
Right. So you do have to allocate some time, but it could supplement income and help you have something where you're making a difference, like you said, to the future of the company and the people in it.
Right.
Yeah, and you guys have an extraordinary program in that arena, right? To get on a board.
We do. We help you through the whole board certification. It's a process that Beth and I both did. You get your board resume, your board bio, your LinkedIn, everything has to be lined up.
So that way you're more likely to get on the board if you have that certification, or is that required?
It's not required, but it does help you get prepared to be on the board, to understand. You actually take an accounting and financial aspect of it, just to remind you of how to read, the profit and loss and so forth and so on. And then we do a bi-monthly Women on Board speaker series as part of C-Suite. And we've had them come and talk about ESG. How do you actually get on a board? What are the legalities of being on board? So all different topics as well, to educate the women as they move through.
What does it take to get on New York Stock Exchange traded board versus a private board? Where are the private boards? We've got all that lined up.
Yeah, we had Governor Newsom's office come and speak on how to get on a government board. They have over 3,000 board positions just in California for
Wow.
Governor Newsom's office. And people don't know that. And they do pay a little bit.
And that's every
yeah. So it's interesting.
Oh, that's great. Sure. I mean, I think if someone's in the C-suite, they need to be involved in your organization. As powerful women coming together with great events, great programs. And I also want to mention you two have a great podcast.
C-Suite Talks. Yes.
C-Suite Talks. That's right. Hosted by Dianne and Beth. And, as co-CEOs of the organization, you're also co-hosts of this podcast. And every week you have on some phenomenal woman in the C-suite. And I really enjoy those interviews. I think, you have women from top companies that maybe people never have a chance to sit down and talk to. I think it's a phenomenal idea for a podcast, and definitely worth, listening in, ladies.
Oh, you're so kind, Catherine. You're such a blessing. And we're so happy to be partnering with FEI to showcase Show Her the Money.
Yes.
So,
yeah, we are super excited to team up with you all also and FEI on our 50 city tour of Show Her the Money, which many of you already know. We have a 50 city schedule, which is at showherthemoneymovie.com. And the movie is so much in alignment with C-Suite. What we're all doing is trying to get more women aware of what is venture capital. Why is it so important to the future of the world, and what products and services we're going to be seeing in the future. A very lucrative asset class that women have not been that involved in. And so we package it up in a fun bow and make it engaging and storytelling way to learn about venture capital by hearing the stories of these incredible women that are in that space, women that are starting their own funds, women that invest in those funds, and of course the women that are the recipients of those funds that otherwise wouldn't be getting funding, right? So
right.
I know we're all on the same page. We need to get more funding to women, and we need more women to become angel investors, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. But let's even take a step back, because we need more women to become entrepreneurs in scalable companies that are potentially venture funded. So Beth and I, of course, were involved in that too. So on top of our Women on Boards training, this year we're launching entrepreneurial training. We're partnering with another organization that will handle that for us, and it will take you through the soup and nuts and really show you how to build a business. Many of our women, you go into transition at some point in your life, whether it's a new job you need or you're exited out for any of various reasons. And women, you still need to work. Women start companies, right?
Yes. And I am making a list in my head right now of all the people I'm sending your way. I know that they could definitely use that program. Who couldn't as an entrepreneur? Every entrepreneur couldn't get enough resources or guidance or introductions or training. So that sounds super exciting. So when they become a member of C-Suite, they have access to that programming.
Yes, at a discount.
Correct.
Right, that's correct.
Right. Because part of the reason, I think the key to, invest in her too is, why aren't more women getting venture funding, right? It's because women tend to go into the service businesses where you don't raise capital for a service business. It's transactional, right? You make a sale in whatever your business is. So I think what we have to do as a cohort of women is come up with companies that are venture capital worthy.
Yes. And there are so many out there that are, but they don't know how to access that capital. We hope Show Her the Money is a catalyst to that, as well as becoming involved in programs like yours, where they have that support to learn how to build and access and scale their businesses. And boy, you two are the scaling queens. So they need to be in your presence and in your circle. And so glad that I've met the two of you, and so glad that I could share C-Suite with our listeners, because I feel like it's an invaluable resource to so many women. Super excited about you all. Let's tell everybody how they can find you.
So if you want to find C-Suite, the organization, and come and get active, we always say jump in and start swimming. It's www.csweet.org. And if you want to reach out to us, it's C-Suite Execs.
CSWEETEXECS.
Right.
At Gmail.
At gmail.com.
Okay, great. And you're both on LinkedIn, I take it?
Oh,
Yes,
sure.
we're both on LinkedIn for sure. And C-Suite itself is on LinkedIn and across all the social media platforms as well.
Great.
And so we're excited. Just reach out to us. Dianne and I are always on email.
Always on email. And like me, Catherine Gray, I'm on LinkedIn, as many of you know. And then Dianne Gubin is DINNEGUBIN if you want to find her on LinkedIn. And then Beth is HILBING, Hilbing. And you can reach out to them there as well. So I think now you know how to get a hold of them. You know how to find C-Suite. Go join up, ladies. And of course, showherthemoneymovie.com has our 50-city tour schedule. You can see when we're going to be teaming up with C-Suite and FEI in Los Angeles and other markets. So looking forward to that. And you can find me, Catherine Gray, also on our social media. So we have Instagram, Catherine Gray, Invest in Her, of course, but then we also have Show Her the Money and She Angel Investors. So sheangelinvestors.com is another source to reach us. And we have lots of resources, the podcasts and other programs and events to help, lift you up and be there for you. And, it's not easy being an entrepreneur, but we try to provide all the resources, and we all three want to encourage our listeners to become angel investors. We need more women becoming angel investors. We influence 80% of the buying decisions. We need to influence more than 50% of where the money goes. And so this is our mission, right, ladies?
Right, exactly.
That's
Very
it.
good, Catherine.
Yeah.
Thank you, Catherine.
Be sure to find us. Be sure to join us. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. Thank you, Dianne and Beth, for being great guests. Make it a great day, everybody.
Have a great weekend. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.